Let's just do injury updates and the rest. Anything on Ross McCrorie and how serious that is?
Yeah, he's going to be a few weeks, unfortunately. It's a hamstring injury. So yeah, probably the best part of 6 weeks.
Which is a real frustration for him. He can't catch a break, it seems, during his time at the club.
No, and it's always that challenge when you know the schedule is what it is, whether you put him out. We obviously did a similar thing where we managed him and left him out against Blackburn off the back of that heavy week. So obviously missed the one before the suspension. Then against Swansea, we then obviously play him midweek against Stoke. But obviously for me, the turnaround was so quick that naturally someone like him then ends up being a risk. But we ultimately have to put a team out, try and win a game. So I think unfortunately for him, he's going to be out for a little bit of time, which is a shame because he'd got himself into a really good spot.
In terms of coming back, you were hoping that Campering was getting close enough for Friday potentially?
Yeah, he's in contention, to be fair. He's done a few sessions this week, so he's definitely getting closer, which is, we've got obviously a bit more work to do. We'll see where he's at, but yeah, he's definitely one that might come into contention for Friday.
But again, you've got the same potential issue. It's not quite as serious in terms of he's not had that problem a lot, but you don't want to be rushing him back and losing him for a while.
No, and when you look at it, obviously we obviously go Friday. It's not been too bad a week to kind of rest and get people, get over a few bits and pieces, recover a little bit. Then we obviously have a slower week. So we got the opportunity where time's on our side a little bit before going into another crazy period. So yeah, it's one of those where we can get the work into some of the players that are returning.
Joe Williams back and fit and available?
Yep, fully trained the whole thing. He's trained really well. The attitude's been top.
Okay. And anything else that's picked up or anything else that's going to affect the squad for Friday?
No, pretty much clean out apart from that, yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of give with one hand, take away with another, isn't it? It's kind of the joys of management.
Yeah, and that's why you need the squad. You need the depth because I think things do turn around, things change so quickly, and even more so. I talked to the lads a lot about it in terms of just being prepared physically, mentally. I think the staff do a really good job of running the best program for those that maybe don't have the match minutes because ultimately, we know that things can change so quickly. So we need people to be in the best place possible, ready to step in and do what the team needs because that's ultimately what we're here for.
Obviously, big frustration from the weekend to concede so late and not get the points you want. I was going back through the season and in terms of points dropped, there's probably been more than you would have liked after the 85th minute. Is that something you've looked at all? Yeah,
of course. It's a huge frustration. I feel the same as everybody else. Obviously, I'm desperate to pick up points, desperate to win games. It's one of those. I'm not going to sit here and spin it as a huge positive in the progress we've made because ultimately we have dropped too many, and I think you can narrow it down a little bit. It tends to be away from home and tends to be in the last 10 minutes. The frustrating thing is we're putting ourselves in winning positions, which is progress. The fact that we're in those positions is then making sure we've got to be better at seeing games out. The lads are clear of it. We're clear of it. We're not hiding away from it. It's something that we have to improve. We have to get better at. Come up with some strategies. I thought we've spoken around that. We looked at some of the bits in terms of how do you control momentum in a different way. There's lots around tactics in football, but there's also momentum, which is home and away is different. So it's then how do when you're up against it a little bit, how do we shift it back in our favour? What does that look like? What are the strategies? So we had a good chat with the lads yesterday. We watched a couple of bits that we think we can do better at, and it's about keep pushing forward, keep working hard, so that we're in that position. The lads can feel it a little bit and be quite clear on what we need to try and do.
Because I think particularly away from home, it's that bit. I think coaches are quite often looking for control in football to be able to make sure that teams aren't causing you too much trouble. And it just seemed like it wasn't a fitness thing. It was just that element of control at the end of matches hasn't quite been there on the road.
Yeah, elements of that definitely. I think it will be different each game, right? I think in terms of how you control it. I think that the big bit is how do you quieten the noise? How do you quieten the energy? And whether that be the fans, whether it be the opposition players. How do you second half against Stoke's a really good example at home where we managed the game by keeping them in their half with the ball. The other day for me we were trying to control the game by defending our box too much. So it's around we have to be braver and pass the ball, trust each other, work harder to connect passes to progress up the pitch. Belly's chance actually comes from doing it. You slides one down the side, Belly carries it, and we end up having a little phase in their half of the pitch. And what it does then is it kind of takes the sting out of them. So of course it's not going to be perfect all the time in terms of you're going to have to suck up periods away from home where you can defend, but at the same point yeah, you see the game last night, right? It's quite a few teams I think that have had similar issues. So I think it's one of those. We're quite clear. We're working at it. That's the only thing that you can do to change it is be honest. Accept that it's something that we have to do better, and then address it, understand it, and next time try and put it right.
Middlesbrough coming to Ashton Gate on Friday. Your recent record against them is pretty good. They seem like a team that are really well blessed going forward, but you actually match up against them quite nicely. That from the outside, that's the way it seems.
Previously, right? I think you go into Friday, it's a different game. I think you have to take it. And of course, I think the big bits. Look, they've invested heavily. They're a strong squad that are really well coached, really well organised, play some terrific football. But I think we can as well. I think that's the biggest bit where we have to be clear in terms of the form, whatever it is, goes out the window to a certain extent because Friday's another new opportunity for everybody. So you have to take the where you're at mentally, you have to take where you're at physically, you have to take the experiences we've had. We have to take the belief in ourselves and each other, and go into Friday's game, trying to do everything we can to win.
They're obviously not in the greatest of form either, and that does that come into your thinking in terms of how you approach a game like this?
No, because it can go one of two ways, right? I think it, can get them up. I think they can get them, desperate to change the form, change the way things have been. We know you've only got to look at their squad. They've got some extremely talented players. So I think from that perspective, it doesn't change what we do massively. We'll have our plan. We'll be quite clear on what we're trying to do, and then I know the group. They'll work as hard as they can to try and make it happen.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
And you mentioned those strategies, seeing games out on the road particularly. How much of that work that you do here is like tactical, and how much is like the mental side of it for players to bring back that control?
Yeah, the biggest bit is mental. I think the biggest bit is the psychological aspect in that. We can talk about tactics, and I think the biggest bit is being aware of it, so feeling it. I think that's the starting point. If you recognise actually we're too deep, or we're turning the ball over too cheaply, or we're not getting a break from that defending like we were the other day, it's in right, how do you address it? Well, it will take a load of bravery. We're working with humans that naturally, whether it be feel pressure as well. They want to win. They're desperate to win. And when you get closer to the final whistle, naturally, the tension increases and etc. So I think it starts with the awareness. I think it starts with bravery. I think it starts with the lads sticking together and helping each other, and then us, sitting down having chats in between to go right in that situation again in the future. What would you do differently? Try this. This might be the one. And for me, that would be it. I think it's kind of narrowing in on the problem and then creating a strategy to try and solve it.
You've mentioned before it's a young group. Do you think that's something that should only grow as they grow together as well as individuals and a team?
Yeah, I think it will. I think it will definitely grow. I think, like you say, it's a young group that still learning how to have to go on consecutive blocks of winning games. We've had a little one, and then we've kind of bounced along, picking up points here and there. It's about how do you go back to back? How do you follow up consecutive wins? And part of that, when you have to look at the teams at the top, how they do it. They manage the game terrifically well. So we can talk around tactics, which is a huge part of football. We can talk around the physical side, psychologically. It's how do you manage the momentum in game. They're the bits that are quite difficult sometimes to replicate in training because we don't have 20,000 people and a massive 3 points on the line. So they're bits that, again, the group are so honest. We can be really tough on them. They're tough on themselves. And we can have those chats where it's a case of, right, if we want to go from there to there, how do we do it?
You mentioned rolling into that 4-4-2 on Saturday as well. How do you feel that system worked? Is it something you've worked on a lot, but perhaps it's not something we've seen too much on the pitch?
Yeah, we've done it a lot. We haven't done it a lot recently, but earlier on we were quite often. I think around Sunderland away we were a 3 and a 4. All around that period, to be fair, it was only probably around the Christmas time that we kind of stuck out of possession with a 3. So all the time before that we were 3 or a 4. We did it against Stoke as well, where we changed 3 to the 4. So again, I think it is for me, I'm not. I know I spoke a lot around the scheduling afterwards, but I'm also not hiding, trying to make an excuse from the fact we needed to be better than we were at the weekend. So I think there's definitely that element of, us taking accountability for our performance, and whether it be energy, whether it be tactics, whether it be, quality. I thought, that needed to be of a high level at the weekend, definitely.
Sam Bell came on and you made an impact, came really close. Where do you feel he's at the moment? It does feel like he just needs that goal. He's come so close against Stoke, Cardiff. It just feels like he's ready to break and explode onto the scene, sort of thing.
Definitely. And he's come close, and I know he's frustrated. He's finishing this morning, stopping training. I think that's the big bit. Is then when you step on the pitch, in the heat of battle, how do you keep that element of composure? And if he keeps getting in those areas, and keeps his head in a good state, he'll take his chances. I'm confident of that.
Do you think he's someone who suits that? Because it was almost a front two, wasn't it, at times when he came on. Do you think that helps him, especially with Sinclair drawing defenders? It seemed to really help his game as well.
Yeah, being quite clear. I think ultimately we bring players in or we have them around it because of what they're good at. I think naturally Belly, his movement, the timing of his movement, how he moves, the speed he moves at, I think is excellent. So I thought it's an area where he gets the opportunity to showcase it. But I think with him, with Sykesy, I think the fact that in game we can make tweaks and changes and put people in different slots, I think it's benefited this season. So I think it's something, with Belly, I think it's trying to get players in positions where they bring their qualities to the team.
I saw Adam Murphy play for the under-21s yesterday. Just where is he at the moment? Obviously, he's been out injured for a while. We've not seen him around the first team yet.
Yeah, no, he's very much there. He's training with the 21s, to be fair, to build up, his loading. He obviously missed, in the last year or so, a large amount of football. So again, I think it's a case of him just, continually building up training and getting confidence back in his body.
Elijah Morrison as well has been around the first team a lot recently. I think there'll be some supporters that may have expected him to play a bit more while Cameron's been out. What do you think it is that he needs to do to break into that team? Where is he at the moment?
Do you know, I went to the 21s yesterday and watched it, to be fair, and he's progressing all the time, Elijah. I think he's an element of patience. I think he's up against people that are in the team that have done well. So again, I think, when you look at it, I know we lost Pringy, but at the same point we got Ross back, and when you look at the level Ross was at, he was doing terrifically well, same as Hayden's done well there previously. So I think that's the biggest bit. I think that there'll always be a pathway, but you have to earn it. You have to make sure that your job's to go and knock the person out in front of you. And again, I think when I see Elijah now, you see him, he's good day, bad days. What happens sometimes when young players come across, and that element of being patient. He's consistently training well now. So again, I think behind the scenes, I get to see the progress he's making, how he's doing, and he's got to keep his head down, keep pushing, because he's of course someone that we like and someone that's getting better, and I'm sure someone that will have a good future at the club.
Just on Josh Campbell-Slowey as well, I know when you spoke about Pringy the other day, you said he was close as well. Is he in contention? He's still a bit away.
I expect him back with the group next week, to be honest.
So he's getting closer. You feel he's a real option heading into that last block of games?
Yeah, of course. You have to see how he responds to the injury. I think obviously there's a short period left in terms of volume of games, but he's back training next week. We'll see how he comes back. No doubt we'll obviously use the opportunity to give him some minutes in the 21s as well to build that up as well, and then. Like with all the lads, whether it be opportunity, and that, like we said a minute ago, whether it's a forced opportunity, whether it be his levels, outstanding in training, performs well in it, whatever it is, it's making sure that he's ready. And then what I know, seeing the work every day, is that the coaching staff are doing everything to make sure that he continues to improve.
Cheers, Tim.